He's a legend whose music shaped generations. But when the lights go down and the tours end, where does Eric Clapton call home? From his serene Surrey estate to luxurious getaways, Clapton's life offstage is just as fascinating as his time under the spotlight. When you think of Eric Clapton, you probably picture the roaring solos, the soulful lyrics, and the quiet power of a man who lets his guitar do the talking. But away from the music, Clapton's world is one of understated luxury, deep roots, a lifestyle that's all about privacy and peace. It all starts with his beloved home in Surrey, England, a place that's been his sanctuary through the wild highs and brutal lows of life lived in the public eye. Clapton's main residence is tucked away in the rolling hills of Ewhurst, a small village in Surrey. The house, an elegant Italian-style villa built in 1910, is a far cry from the flashy Hollywood mansions you might expect from someone of his fame. Instead, it blends into the countryside with old-world charm, surrounded by acres of lush greenery, private gardens, and winding trails. It's exactly the kind of quiet, grounded home you'd imagine for a man who spent years battling personal demons before finally finding peace later in life. The property itself is a dream for anyone who loves the outdoors. Clapton reportedly spends much of his time strolling through the gardens, enjoying the calm of nature, escaping the chaos of fame. His home isn't just a place to crash between tours, it's a retreat where he can recharge, create, and just live without the constant noise of the outside world. It's said that the house even has a private music studio, tucked away so he can pick up a guitar and lose himself in sound whenever inspiration strikes. But Surrey isn't the only place Clapton has called home. Over the years, he's owned several stunning properties, including a beautiful mansion in Ohio, USA. This 4,800 square foot home was a showcase of Clapton's taste for comfort over extravagance. High ceilings, warm wooden interiors, a cozy music practice room. It wasn't about showing off. It was about creating spaces that felt personal, welcoming, and real, just like his music. And then there's the famous Golden Beach property in Florida, connected to the creation of his 1974 album, 461 Ocean Boulevard. Renting the beachfront house during the recording of that now iconic album, Clapton found a place that reflected the raw, laid-back vibe of his music at the time. The sunny, casual energy of that space seeped into the songs, giving fans one of the most beloved albums of his career. Despite the fame and fortune, Clapton's choice of homes has always reflected a deeper side of his personality, a need for authenticity, privacy, and a connection to the real world. No towering skyscraper penthouses or diamond-encrusted bathtubs here, just quiet places, surrounded by nature, where a man who has seen the very best and worst of life can finally feel at home. Behind every riff, every aching lyric, and every world tour, Eric Clapton's personal story has always been far more complicated than his smooth guitar licks might suggest. His life offstage has been a constant battle between chaos and calm, love and loss, fame and solitude. And nowhere is that duality more visible than in the way he's lived. Not just where he's lived, but how he built his life around those walls. By the late 1960s and early 70s, Clapton was already a massive name. He had played in legendary bands like Cream, Blind Faith, and Derek and the Dominoes. But while the crowds roared, the records flew off the shelves, his personal life was falling apart behind the scenes. Drug addiction, first heroin, then alcohol, began to consume him. At his lowest point, Clapton was living in near isolation, holed up in his properties, barely functioning beyond his need for the next fix. One of his most famous retreats during this dark period was Hurtwood Edge, his Surrey mansion. Though it looked picturesque from the outside, surrounded by forests and gardens, inside, Clapton was fighting a losing battle. Friends described the home at that time as a kind of beautiful prison, where Clapton would disappear for days at a time, surrounded by guitars he rarely touched, televisions he barely watched. It wasn't the peaceful country retreat it later became. It was a hiding place. His turning point came in the late 1980s when he finally sought serious help for his addictions. It wasn't easy. Clapton relapsed multiple times, but eventually sobriety stuck. And once he was clean, that same house in Surrey took on a whole new meaning. It wasn't a place to hide anymore. It became a real home. Somewhere to raise his children, to plant roots, to breathe. Family became a major part of Clapton's new chapter. His life took another massive hit in 1991 with the tragic death of his 4-year-old son, Connor, who fell from a high-rise apartment window in New York. That grief would have shattered anyone, and for Clapton, it nearly did. But instead of retreating completely, he channeled his heartbreak into his music, writing the hauntingly beautiful Tears in Heaven. At home, he turned to privacy and introspection, shielding his space and his family from the public eye more fiercely than ever. In 2002, Clapton married Melia McEnery, a woman 31 years his junior. Quiet ceremony. With Melia, he found the stable, grounded partnership he had long been missing. They had 3 daughters together, Julie Rose, Ella Mae, and Sophie Bell. Raised them largely away from the madness of fame. His Surrey home became the heart of their family life, a place where Clapton could finally be not just a musician, but a father, a husband, a man at peace with himself. That peace also extended to how Clapton lived. Unlike many rock stars who flaunt their wealth with outrageous mansions or endless parties, Clapton's approach was understated. His homes, whether the sprawling countryside villa in Surrey, quiet mansion in Ohio, or the occasional beach retreat, were not about showing off. They were about creating real, livable spaces where music and family could thrive side by side. Of course, Clapton hasn't completely abandoned luxury. He's famously a car enthusiast, particularly when it comes to Ferraris. His collections include some of the rarest and most expensive models ever built, including a one-of-a-kind Ferrari SP12 EC created just for him. But even his love for fast cars is less about status and more about craftsmanship, the same deep appreciation for detail that defines his approach to music. Another huge piece of Clapton's post-recovery life is philanthropy. After overcoming his own demons, he founded the Crossroads Center in Antigua in 1998, a rehab facility designed to help others battling addiction. Funded largely through Clapton's own donations and the proceeds from his famous Crossroads Guitar Festival charity concerts, the center is a lasting legacy of his personal journey, proof that even after years of destruction, it's possible to rebuild something meaningful. Today, Eric Clapton's lifestyle looks almost nothing like the wild, chaotic world he once inhabited. His days are slower, his circle smaller. He splits his time between England and occasional retreats elsewhere, always gravitating toward quiet spaces surrounded by nature. His life isn't about glitz and glamour anymore, it's about music, family, holding on to the peace he fought so hard to find. When you think of rock legends like Eric Clapton, it's easy to picture mansions with golden gates, helicopters parked on the lawn, and parties that last for days. But Clapton's wealth, while massive, is handled with the same quiet intentionality as the rest of his life. Sure, he has the assets and the luxuries that come with decades at the top of the music industry, but his relationship with wealth is a lot more grounded than you might expect. As of 2025, Eric Clapton's net worth is estimated at around $450 million. It's a fortune built not only from album sales, world tours, and royalties, but also from smart investments and an unwavering fan base that spans generations. His music catalog alone continues to pull in millions annually, with classics like Layla, Wonderful Tonight, and Tears in Heaven streaming endlessly around the globe. Yet despite all that success, Clapton's lifestyle remains refreshingly understated. His main property, the Italian-style villa in Surrey, continues to be his home base. Unlike some celebrities who hop from estate to estate, Clapton has remained loyal to the same quiet countryside house for decades. The villa sits on several acres of pristine land, offering the privacy he values so deeply. It's not just a house, it's a refuge. Inside, you'll find elegant but cozy decor, nothing over the top or tacky. Rich wooden floors, comfortable antique furniture, and, well, of course, guitars everywhere. Friends have said it feels less like a millionaire's mansion and more like the home of a man who truly understands the value of peace and solitude. Outside of Surrey, Clapton's passion for real estate has been much more strategic than indulgent. He once owned a beautiful mansion in Columbus, Ohio, which he used as a quiet American retreat. The 4,822 square foot property featured wide open spaces, a gorgeous kitchen, a large home office, and naturally, a music room. Again, nothing about the house screamed rockstar excess. It was about comfort, family, and simplicity. But Clapton's lifestyle does have its flashes of extravagance, particularly when it comes to his love of classic and luxury cars. His Ferrari collection is the stuff of legend among car enthusiasts. Among his most prized possessions is the Ferrari SP12 EC, a custom, one-off creation designed specifically for him by Ferrari's Special Projects division. The car, sleek and aggressive in its design, reflects the meticulous attention to detail Clapton brings to his music. He's also owned a vintage 365 GTC and a 512 BB, among others, all celebrated for their performance and craftsmanship. Despite his incredible wealth, Clapton has never been the type to hoard it selfishly. His commitment to philanthropy is deep and personal. The Crossroads Center in Antigua, which he founded, offers high-quality rehabilitation services for those struggling with substance abuse, a cause that obviously hits close to home for Clapton. To keep the center funded, he has sold off portions of his personal guitar collection through auctions, raising millions. Legendary guitars like his Fender Stratocaster Blackie have fetched record-breaking prices, all for the sake of helping others find recovery. It's not just guitars either. Clapton has auctioned personal items, clothes, and even art pieces over the years to support Crossroads and other charities. His approach to wealth is simple. Use it to build something good, not just for himself, but for others too. It's a philosophy that feels almost old school in a world where fame and fortune so often spiral into greed. Today, Clapton's public appearances are rare and cherished. He still performs occasionally, choosing carefully when and where he'll step back into the spotlight. When he's not working, he's living a life that's more about family barbecues than Hollywood red carpets. Time spent with his wife Malia and their daughters takes top priority. His days are often filled with simple pleasures: gardening, painting, playing the guitar, and driving his beloved cars around the countryside. His world, once fueled by addiction and chaos, is now built on rhythms of peace and contentment. Even his fashion sense reflects this understated wealth. While he is no stranger to designer labels, Clapton prefers classic, comfortable styles: crisp shirts, well-fitted jeans, smart jackets. He often shops at Quartines of Piccadilly, a historic British clothier that he eventually bought a stake in, preserving a piece of old England he loved. Whether it's his clothes, his cars, or his homes, Clapton's choices tell the same story. Tradition, craftsmanship, and authenticity matter more than flash. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.